At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized, so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, 23 July. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about the protests in Kiev over the anti-corruption agency's change. A Briton has been found guilty of volunteering to spy for Russia, and Russia has passed a law to punish searches for extremist content. So firstly, on July 22nd, thousands of Ukrainians protested in Kiev and other cities after President Zelensky signed a bill limiting the independence of key anti-corruption agencies in the country. The bill followed raids and investigations targeting the agencies and was pushed by Zelensky's office amid accusations that the agencies investigated senior officials close to him. Critics said the legislation would weaken anti-corruption efforts, consolidate power around Zelensky, and risk alienating international partners who see the anti-corruption agencies as vital for Ukraine's EU bid. The EU Enlargement Commissioner called the decision a serious step back and stressed the agency's independence is essential for Ukraine's European path. The protests signal significant public concern over democratic backsliding during wartime and suggesting the move could undermine Ukraine's reform progress and Western support amid Russia's invasion. So what? This is a pretty tense one, right? Because it's not a great time to be protesting against your government, but also this is a very serious change in the way that Ukraine is structured. For people that don't know, prior to the war, Ukraine was considered the most corrupt European country. So the idea that these anti-corruption agencies are now less independent is very significant to the people. And it's pretty interesting as Zelensky campaigned on an anti-corruption platform. That was his main push, that he was going to get these two, the NABU and the SAPO, to investigate corruption and really crack down on Ukraine's levels of corruption. But yeah, so this is not seen as a good move. Zelensky is stressing that Russia had infiltrated these organizations and that they were using them to try and undermine Ukraine's war effort. But it doesn't appear that most Ukrainian people are kind of buying that. In my opinion, he should just try and clear out all the Russian influence and then continue to make them independent, not bring them under his own control. So yeah, it's a pretty serious and significant move, and one that, if it continues to move ahead, could really see the situation turn in terms of support for the country. Notably, like extreme pro-Ukraine newspapers, Instagram pages and other social media influencers have all been calling out the government over this. So yeah, it's a pretty significant move. And next, a man in his mid-60s is facing trial at a Winchester Crown Court, was convicted on Tuesday for aiding individuals he believed to be Russian spies. Phillips aimed to assist two individuals he believed to be Russian operatives who were actually undercover agents of British intelligence. He assisted by sharing details about ex-Defence Minister Grant Shapps, managing travel arrangements and reserving accommodation. The jury reached a unanimous decision after deliberating for 4 hours and 4 minutes, while his ex-wife revealed that he aspired to emulate characters like James Bond and had a strong fascination with MI5 and MI6. Sentencing was adjourned to the earliest available date in autumn, and Phillips was remanded in custody after claiming he contacted the Russian embassy to expose agents and assist Israel. So what? It's a pretty interesting move by MI5 to conduct a kind of false flag operation to try and expose him as wanting to support Russian intelligence. It would be interesting to see how it actually went down. And I wonder like how much will become public after his sentencing. This sounds like a pretty fascinating story. It goes to show that there are people within the UK who are sympathetic to Russia's cause and willing to take the extra step into supporting their intelligence operations within the country, despite the public knowledge of, assassinations they've carried out on British soil. So it's always good to remember, always keep an eye on people. And lastly, on July 18th, Russian authorities announced plans to block WhatsApp, which is used by nearly 80% of Russians, according to the State Duma deputy Antony Gorolikin. The ban on WhatsApp aligns with previous censorship efforts targeting popular online services under the national security justifications. Russia has a history of blocking platforms including LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as throttling Twitter's speed. Authorities now justify censorship based on national security, moving away from earlier rationales of defending intellectual property rights. So what? I mean, this kind of makes sense, right? As the war grounds on and dissatisfaction becomes more and more commonplace amongst people in Russia, they need to crack down on how people are communicating to ensure that they cannot organize protests or other anti-government activities. WhatsApp is owned by Meta, an American company, and they claim that their platform is fully encrypted, including voice communications. So it's it's unlikely that Russia has a direct access into the chats. I guess this just means more Russians will be using Telegram, though that was already extremely common. So yeah, I don't see it as a massive change, and I don't see Russians really caring. It's just a bit of an annoyance, I'm sure, and they have to switch all their communications to Telegram. So yeah, that's been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.